Welcome to the Top Business Leaders Show, powered by Rise 25 Media. We feature top founders, executives, and business leaders from all over the world.
Chad Franzen here, co-host for this show where we feature top restaurateurs, investors, and business leaders. This is part of our SpotOn series. SpotOn has the best-in-class payment platform for retail, and they have a flagship solution called SpotOn Restaurant, where they combine marketing, software, and payments all in one. They've served everyone from larger chains like Dairy Queen and Subway to small mom-and-pop restaurants. To learn more, go to SpotOn.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. We help B2B businesses to get ROI, clients, referrals, and strategic partnerships through Done-For-You podcasts. If you have a B2B business and want to build great relationships with clients, referral partners, and thought leaders in your space, there's no better way to do it than through podcasts and content marketing. To learn more, go to rise25.com or email us at support@rise25.com. Hengam Stanfield is a mom of four, an electrical engineer, an immigrant from Iran, and the pizza lady at Mattenga's Pizzeria. She and her husband, Matt, founded Mattenga's in 2014 with zero restaurant experience, and they have increased their sales 6 times in the last 8 years. They plan to open 3 more stores in the next 3 months. Hengam is the host of the Making Dough Show podcast, where she shares their journey of being restaurant owners and how to own a restaurant that doesn't own you. Hengam, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you.
Hey, but before we get into your restaurant and your podcast, tell me a little bit more about your background. You're an electrical engineer and you came from Iran?
Yeah, and so I'm an immigrant. I came to the U.S. about 14 years ago, but I was born and raised in Iran. I also got to live in Spain for about 8 years. I was studying telecommunication engineering there, and I was able to transfer for college to New Mexico Tech and got an electrical engineering there. And I met my husband, Matt. He is a civil engineer. We met there and we got married, and we realized we wanted to be in business for one another because, I mean, obviously engineering is all fun, but you ultimately are just staring at a screen all day. And we had spent so much time together during college. And once we went to work, we realized we barely see each other. And then when we come home, we were really exhausted. So we felt like we wanted to, and we loved hosting parties in our home and, making fresh pasta, making all kinds of food. And we thought, let's go open a restaurant. And we, again, had zero experience. So we want to get out of New Mexico, where we lived. It was a very, very small town, far from Albuquerque, or Santa Fe, all the glamorous cities. And so we ended up moving to Texas. We live in San Antonio area. And so that was about 8 years ago. Back then we had 2 little children. And so one day to the next, we sold our house in New Mexico and we bought this failing pizzeria, again, in the San Antonio area. So that is a short version of it.
Wow. We'll get more into Mattenga's and your pizzeria and everything. But first, tell me a little bit about the Making Dough Show podcast. How did that get started?
Sure. So it was about a few years ago that I got a lot of questions about, how we do our restaurants and how we handle, again, our family. And one of the things that we found out our strength being is creating systems in our business, partly because of the background we have. And so I get to share a lot of those things, what it is that we're doing in our restaurants to make sure that we're running a profitable business and all along not needing to be there all the time. That is kind of one thing that we wanted to do, that again, we have very young children and we couldn't afford to be at the store all the time. So that led into always on an ongoing basis asking, where's the gap? What's the problem here? How can we create a system so we don't need to be there at opening, at closing, because then you will have absolutely no life and you cannot really expand. So that was kind of our strength. And obviously we make a lot of dough in our pizzeria. So that went back to be the Making Dough Show. So that's dough for obviously dough and money. So that's kind of how it came about.
Sure. Very nice. Hey, what kind of systems do you have in place that allow you to have a restaurant that doesn't own you?
So in every season of business, you need different systems. So I realized I was back there washing dishes and I'm outstanding at it, or making pizzas. And no matter how fast and outstanding of a person I am in the kitchen, back then, again, when we started 8 years ago, that was a $10 an hour job. And those were the ones that first I decided I need to get myself out of it. I found myself saying the same things over and over when you do a lot of repeated tasks. And so whenever we hired people, I was training people. And so I'm making the time to be there early morning to train this new team member. And some of them stuck around for a year or two, some left in 3 weeks. And I realized I'm sacrificing time from my, our children. And again, our kids were a year and a half and one was 7 months old. So they were really little. And so I'm sacrificing time to be here and training these individuals. And I need to have systems and that I don't need to do it all the time. So I started creating a lot of videos. So when I create, for example, a team member on the menu, I have them watch a video of me explaining the menu and the stuff. And I edited those videos on iMovie. I went to the restaurant at 5 a.m. because I used to work regular operations. So I would go to the restaurant at 5 a.m., record those videos, onboarding videos. This is the vision and mission of our restaurant. And so I started from low dollar tasks, systematizing those to get myself out of that area. And we just and we continue to create systems. As I said, your systems break in every level of business. So that's an ongoing process.
So tell me a little bit about Mattenga's Pizza. What can customers expect when they go there?
Oh, wonderful. So Mattenga's Pizzeria, my husband's name is Matt, and part of my name is Enga. So when I lived in Spain, nobody really could pronounce my full name. So they used to call me Enga. So that's Mattenga is where it comes from. And so we started in 2014. And between 2014 and 2018, we had the one location. We opened the second location in 2018. And this year being the 2022, in January, we opened a location. May 4th, we opened the fifth location. And we're opening 2 more locations in the next 2 weeks. And I can go about how that came about. But our restaurant, a family environment, great food, and other things that sets us apart. We have like some ranch dips that are unique. We have a Mattenga's ranch that has like fresh garlic and basil within the ranch. In Texas, people love ranch with their pizza. We have a Texas ranch with jalapeno and cilantro with the ranch dip that goes very well with pizza, of course. We have a keto crust we make in-house with ground chicken and eggs and Parmesan cheese. We have a lot of vegan offerings and obviously gluten-free offerings. We want to make sure we serve a lot of families with young kids. And we want to make sure everybody enjoys pizza, no matter if you're on a diet, you're cutting back, or you have, allergies to whatever. It doesn't matter. We want to make sure we serve everybody pizza. So that is what we're about. We always have a train table in every restaurant. We're very family friendly environment. So that's what we love to do.
What gave you you said you guys enjoyed having people over or entertaining people or having parties or whatever, but that's a lot different than owning a rrestaurant. What kind of gave you the confidence that this would be something that would end up being a good idea?
I would say ignorance for one. We didn't know what we were doing. And sometimes you hear that from some people, they enter in the business world and they look back and like, oh, I was always an entrepreneur. I don't know, you hear some people say that. I wasn't one of them. I never thought we would be in business. We would ever succeed in business. That's not what I ever thought we would ever do. We did not know what a restaurant business would entail at all. And once we got into it, again, we sold our house in New Mexico and we came here with a rental home. I mean, we had absolutely no other option. And you'd be surprised what you get to do when you are pressed to do it. You will find out what you're capable of. Even, for example, when it comes to diets and stuff, it's hard to go on a diet. But if you're like, hey, you have liver cancer, and if you don't stop eating sugar and gluten or something, you're going to live, you're going to have 6 months to live. Well, we will do. I mean, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So pressure makes diamond is what I tell our team all the time as well. But that's how it came about, that we did not know that we were going to ever succeed in a restaurant. And you're right, in terms of feeding people, the food is about 15% of the food business. The rest is all business, is managing people, your finances, your marketing, a lot of vendor relationships. I mean, so much customer service, of course, a lot that goes into it, as you mentioned.
How much would you say compared to what you know now, when you started, what percentage of that would you say you knew then?
Probably 3%.
Oh, wow.
I did not know how to cut a pizza. I mean, that was that bad. Like when you cut with the cutter and it still doesn't like fully cut. I mean, we did not know anything about the restaurant. I mean, we had never worked as a dishwasher. A lot of people worked as servers, nothing at all. I mean, yeah.
So given that, what were kind of the early days like for Mattenga's and the early days like for you while working there?
It was very, very hard. I mean, I remember once my husband and I, and the restaurant we bought, we did not know how to read the P&L, of course. And then when you buy a business, it is on you to do your due diligence. The broker, it's a for-profit. They want to make money, of course. And the business person who's selling it, everybody's fighting for their own. And so we need to do our own due diligence. We didn't know how to do that, of course. And so, this is going to be a cash cow of a restaurant. It was making about an average of $500,000 a year, this restaurant. And it was probably $150,000 below break even. That's what it was. So we worked about 120 hours a week. My parents also lived with us, and they worked at the restaurant. One of us always was with the kids. And we made no profits. We made probably about $1,200 a month to pay for our rent. And the rest, we lived at the restaurant. We barely got gas because we just came to the restaurant all day long. We were just there for about 2 years. We made no profits. It was very, very hard. I mean, I think I lost 25 pounds out of stress and, being on your feet all day. I remember vividly once being in the office with my husband, thinking about how we're going to pay payroll. And it was like the bill was going to be $10,000, and it's Tuesday, and it's going to be on Thursday was going to hit, and we didn't have the money in the bank. And it's really different when you're, like a regular person. Okay, we're going to cut back. We're not going to go out to eat, or when you have a $10,000 payroll that's about to hit. I mean, it's not about saving here and there. It's about growing sale. You need, what I mean? So it was, I'm not going to say it was easy. It's continuously as hard and challenging. And it's well worth it. It's just childbirth. It's very painful, but it's well worth it. Just part of that.
Did you use the recipes that were already in place from the previous owners for the pizzas, or did you bring immediately things to the table in that respect?
So that one, I mean, that there were not written recipes, systems documented anywhere. It was just this person would make it this way, that person would make it that way. It was a lot of hit and miss. My parents, they really assisted with that. I mean, every batch when we've gone through our dough iterations, and with temperature, in the summer, it needs to be a little bit different. In the winter, it need to be different. So my folks really helped with our recipes in the beginning to get that going.
Wow, amazing. So what kind of gave you some traction, or what gave you the most results as you got started?
So one of the things that happened, within a few months, we realized the restaurant is empty most of the time, and the staff has a great time. They're building fantastic relationships. They're having a great time at the staff. They're getting paid, so it doesn't matter. So we realized if we're just sitting at the restaurant waiting for customers to come, we have a Chick-fil-A in our parking lot, and my husband and I would be looking from our glass inside, looking out, and I'd be like, what are those people doing over there? I mean, we were empty most of the time. And then we realized, if we just sit at the restaurant and just wait, nothing's going to happen. So we got that memo, and we realized we need to be out there. So we have religiously taken food out and pizzas, complimentary pizzas out to businesses in a 2-mile radius of our restaurant every single day for years. I mean, years. We would hit 5 or 6 businesses every single day. My husband would take pizza. I would take pizza, shaking hands. There was a parade in town. We'd be there. There was a grand opening episode. We bring free food. I mean, we have given, entering Caterpillar facility is all locked up with security. We say, hey, we're just a local pizzeria. We got some pizzas for y'all as staff. People would let us in, and that you just need to make friends. You need to go out, meet people, shake hands, and be known. The enemy of a small business is obscurity. We open at the same time at Chick-fil-A. They run a great restaurant business. I have nothing against them, and we're good friends with the owners. But the minute they open, average, based on the news, I don't have exact, but they're making $40 million a year projected. As soon as they open, we have to start from zero because we're obscure. You're a small business. Nobody knows you. Nobody needs you. Nobody needs another Mexican restaurant. Everybody, or another pizzeria. Everybody's needs are taken. You yourself, you probably already have your go-to pizza place, your go-to Mexican, your go-to Chinese, whatever. And a new restaurant opens, you have absolutely no reason to go there. You need to give people an incentive to come try your food. You need to be, what I mean? So, we had to learn that the hard way, and we went incredibly aggressive. And sales does cure a lot of problems in business. So I remember, my feet hurt. Hours and hours of working, which is very common in our industry. Laying in bed next to my husband, you're so tired, you can't even sleep because you are that exhausted. And we were under a lot of pressure. But at least we're like, I'm like exhausted and I'm in pain, but at least we got good sales today. That was just the one good thing. We don't have staff. This person quit, this crash and burns. At least we had good sales. Literally, that will get you through. So that's the one thing you need to focus on. And that's what's the thing with making a dough show. I feel like we need to focus on growing sales. With sales, everything else almost works itself out. You can pay people more once you make more money. And when you can pay more, you can get more applicants. Everything will work itself out, if it makes sense. For the most part.
So things kind of started to develop for you. When was the restaurant then? You said you were sitting there and the restaurant would be empty and you'd watch Chick-fil-A being full. When did the tables kind of start to turn?
I think it took about a year to get there, to get there. And it was like a January, we've had 10 to 15% sales increase since then for the last few years, even, sometimes 20% sales growth. And also social media was different back then. If you recall, it was the times that you wanted people to like your Facebook page and stuff back then. It was 2014, because when you would post something, everybody would see it. I don't know if you remember those times. Those were good times. And I was listening to Gary Vee. I was listening to those, we implemented a lot of those things, and I'm happy we took advantage of social media then when we did, because now it's just different and you need to leverage things. It's just different than what it was. It still is effective, of course, but we were able to really reach out to a lot of our customers via social media. That worked as well. Very good for us then.
So you've gotten to the point where you've already gotten to the point where you have expanded and you're ready to expand even further. What got you to that point? How did you know where you were at that point? And are you still really aggressive in terms of sales?
We're still very aggressive because there's so much is on the line. When you invest a lot of money, especially with the expansion, we're like, my husband and I were talking about, he's like, okay, well, for the 3 restaurants, the sign is going to be $25,000. I've not even requested it. And when you pay for it, it's going to be like 46 weeks. So we put a banner up. We ordered this huge banner and he put a wood frame around it. We have a banner up right now, and we've bootstrapped everything throughout our career here and with the restaurant. But you got, so there was a lot of money, the oven, it's 20K here, 15K there, 10, we currently have a lot of credit card debt as we open the other stores. Once we open them, they're projected to do well. They're in good areas, and because we've done our due diligence, and Lord willing, it'll work out. But we're still very, very aggressive about sales, because you have to be, so we can pay our people well. I am very passionate about that. But if you don't have sales, nobody gets paid. It's just, so that is part of that. But it was a decision to make to expand. For years, we wanted, and that's the first thing. Everybody who, you work for someone else, you have a job, then you're want to be free. Everybody wants this freedom thing. Oh, you want to be free and you make money every month without needing to be there all the time. That's this first thing that a lot of people want. That's why they enter into the business world. And once we were making kind of very low 6 figures, we started getting really bored, and it was not very healthy for us as a business. Things stagnated a little bit. That's in 2019. And we were not at the restaurants much. We had the 2-store, we had managers. We were not really at the restaurants much. And we got really stagnant. And we decided to even, sell the restaurants. And somebody offered us a check for $540,000 for the 2 restaurants. And that's when we were like, okay, well, if we sell the restaurants, what are we going to do? And then we realized, okay, well, we love food and we love business. So we would still be in food and in business. So, well, we already have this. What's the point of selling it? So it was actually a very good point for us to see clarity as to who we wanted to be. And we realized, go big or go home, we need to go all in. And so we have been, and obviously then soon after pandemic hit, and it was very challenging, I'm sure, for everybody going through the pandemic, shortage of supplies, we didn't have staff, and all kinds of logistics that went into that. But we were able to grow our sales like 20% through all the pandemic stuff. And be bold enough to move forward. We were talking today, gas is probably going to maybe hit $6 a gallon. That's going to affect people's spendings. It's about 4 something where we're at right now in Texas. And that's going to, we're going to have challenges hiring drivers. But somebody's got to grow and expand. And it better be us. I mean, we have to. If you just shrink as the world is going crazy, you're going to just stay in your home and not do anything. I'm saying as a business, you have to go out and you need to take it. It's going to be difficult, but somebody's got to do it. So why not you? Why not me? You know what I mean? So
yeah, you mentioned the price of a sign. Those are things that most average people, I guess, don't think about. You drive by a place, you think, why does that place have such a crappy sign? Well, now we know. It's very pricey, huh?
It's very, very expensive. It's about $8,000 per sign that goes up there,
Wow.
and rent is very expensive. We had to renew our alcohol license. We sell beer and wine, $3,000. Bob likes $2,000. I mean, it's just all the time, and you have to have savings. Things break all the time. Oh, they left this there. Oh, this broke. $2,000. It aches my body but you have, you know what I mean? That's just the cost of business, sadly.
Sure. So, I have a lot of friends who have engineering backgrounds and they no longer do engineering, but they say that their degrees and their experience help them because of their ability to solve problems. Would you say that has been the case for you guys?
Oh, absolutely. And being objective when things get very emotional. Restaurant is a people business and you have a lot of people involved, and being able to look at things in terms of process, where's a problem. It has been very beneficial. And also it's been the other side of the coin that has been a little bit difficult is understanding that, for example, with us as engineers, we look for problems. We're trained to look for problems, to go solve them. And that leads to not seeing the good that is going on. When you're always focused on the problem, you make it a little bit unbearable. People work with you because maybe they're doing 10 things right and they're doing 2 things wrong, and you really focus on what's going wrong, because that's what we're programmed to do. In the people business, you have to balance it out. You need to micromanage processes and you need to lead people. They're kind of 2 different things. And if you look for problems, you will find it. You will find problems to solve on an ongoing basis. It's like weeds in the yard. I mean, there are always going to be weeds. They're growing everywhere, but it makes business fun. I feel like as an engineer, it transfers into doing business, especially when you're good with numbers, analytics. Business is all math after all. So it lends to skill sets that applies to business for sure.
A couple more questions for you. How has Mattenga's developed as a brand? I know that building a brand is one of your specialties. How would you say it's kind of evolved as a brand?
Sure. I mean, as a brand, I would say that if somebody's in the first 2 years of their business and they're not profitable, they should not really worry about brand in the beginning, because you need money first to hit break even and make profits. So you need to be focused on sales. But once, you are in the profit zone and you're in the black, then branding is a lot to do with who are you as who do you want, who are the customers you want to enjoy. So I said, for example, families with young kids, because we have young children. So that's a demographic we know how to serve. I know how to market to moms. Maybe I'm not as good at marketing to college students or whatever, because that's not in the world I'm in right now, though I'm pretty good with that at college because we lived a long time in college. But vividly, I remember we had another pizzeria, local pizzeria in our town, and the couple owners, they are empty nesters. They have a lot of alcohol focus. They have big screens for people to come watch sports, and their clients and customers are a lot of empty nesters. Great people, but it's important to know who you are and what kind of a customers you want. So, and to be aligned with that. So branding wise, who we wanted to be known is that we wanted to be family owned. We wanted for people to know that we're generous, because nobody loves to support a greedy business owner. So we want to highlight people in our community. We host 2 Spirit Nights fundraisers for schools, and we donate 30% of sales generated back to the schools. We have great relationships with schools. Again, we donate pizzas, or there's a teachers thing going on. We give out a lot of those. That's part of our branding and sowing goodwill. It's a big part of our business. It's not as just branding, it's a purpose of what we do. A business is nothing without community. particularly local business. I mean, I can't worry about what folks are doing in Colorado. We focus about the 3 to 5 mile radius of those that are around our restaurant. It's an advantage and disadvantage, of course, being a local business owner. So when you focus on the advantage, there's how many schools are here, how many churches are here, how many businesses are here. These are the hospitals, these are this, and we need to be known by everybody and looking for ways to serve them. That has always worked for us, and that is part of our branding that we do. And we create a lot of commercials in-house for Mattengas. We involve our children. Our community people appreciate the hustle. People when you see a small business owner who hustles and bootstraps, people want to support that. So you want to tell those stories. I had a story of the banner. When we put the banner up, we had to go on the roof. I mean, it's us, my kids are holding the things. I recorded a reel and I put it up. Everybody, just because people want to support, they wish to, everybody, I think at some point you want to be a small business owner, you want to work for yourself. Everybody has that dream, but people support that, at least in our community. And we try to tell those stories. And that is all part of our brand as well.
That's great. Sounds great. Hey, what's one thing you would tell somebody who wants to open their own restaurant that now that maybe you wish you knew back when you guys started?
I would say that person, if I could go back in time, I would say you must go and work at a restaurant for at least 3 months to see if that is what you want to do. If somebody was to approach us as a restaurant owner and they're, for example, South San Antonio, they come, we're in North San Antonio and say, hey, I just want to I'll buy you all lunch or coffee, it doesn't matter. And I would like to just, talk to you about the restaurant and whatever. We're happy to openly share. Point is, wherever you are, that you are watching or listening, and you like to be in a restaurant business, go befriend a couple of restaurant owners. They may really bash the industry. What I'm saying is get a couple of successful restaurant owners that have been able to balance their family and grow their business, not one that's not successful, because they're going to tell you don't enter in this industry because it is hard. And yes, it is hard, but it is doable if you are passionate about business and food. Restaurant, there is nothing like it. I mean, there's nothing like the restaurant industry. And I think as things get hard, there's still people want to go to restaurants. So it is a very fun industry. And yes, it is very, very hard. But if you can do it, why not? So
I have one final question for you, but first, how can people find out more about Mattengas?
Sure. Obviously our website, Mattenga, is just Mattengas.com. That's our website, all the stuff we do on social. And Making Dough Show is just everywhere. Making Dough Show is on YouTube, on podcasts, is makingdoughshow.com as well.
Okay, great. Hey, if you were to go to Mattengas as a customer, what would be your kind of go-to item of choice?
Oh my goodness. It would be our chicken pesto pizza. I love pesto and basil, of course, but our zeppole donuts are very good. It's our pizza dough. We cut it and then we fry it and then we coat it with cinnamon sugar. It's good to end the meal on a sweet high note. Is always good. So those are my two favorites.
Very nice. I'm hungry now. Hey, Hengam, it's been great to talk to you. I really appreciate your time today. And I thank you so much.
Thank you.
So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Top Business Leaders Show, powered by Rise 25. Visit rise25.com to check out more episodes of the show and to learn more about how you can start your own podcast.